And we begin the news in Lagos, where the Minister of Works, David Mayo, on Friday reopened the Independence Bridge in Lagos State, which has been closed for maintenance, sparking widespread public outcry and traffic chaos across the city. Speaking to journalists during a visit to the site, the minister assured residents that permanent repair work on the bridge will commence within the next 3 weeks. He acknowledged the importance of the bridge which links Victoria Island to other key parts of Lagos, and apologized for the inconvenience caused by the temporary closure. The reopening comes after 2 days of intense gridlock, with commuters and motorists expressing anger for the lack of proper traffic management and alternative routes during the shutdown by the Lagos state government.
To get this problem solved, I prayed a prayer for the wisdom of God to rule over whatever decision we are to take. And I believe that it is God's wisdom that is in display here. And that is, to answer your question, I think that it's God that enables you to do what you never studied to do. And so, first of all, let me state that the bridge, the reason for the closure in the first place, because the part of the approach slab caved in, and the construction of the approach slab ab initio was wrong, because it was a cantilever, and in fact it's not a cantilever. We can say it's a free supporting approach slab, which should not be. Every approach slab must have one end fixed. That didn't happen.
Away from Lagos, the Supreme Court on Friday finally laid to rest the question of who should be the national chairman of the Labour Party. In a landmark ruling, the Apex Court set aside the judgment of the Court of Appeal in Abuja that recognized Julius Abure as the national chairman of the Labour Party. In a unanimous judgment, a 5-member panel of the Apex Court held that the Court of Appeal lacks the jurisdiction to have pronounced Abure national chairman of the Labour Party, after finding out earlier that the substance of the case was about the party's leadership. The Apex Court held that the issue of leadership was an internal affair of a party over which courts lacked jurisdiction. The court further allowed the appeal filed by Senator Nanadi Usman and one other, and held that it was meritorious. It also proceeded to dismiss the cross-appeal filed by the Abure group of the Labour Party for being unmeritorious. But the Julius Abure faction of the party is not taking the final say of the final court of the land without a fight. It has, in fact, refuted his removal as national chairman of by the Supreme Court. In a statement by Abayomi Arabambi, the party described the Abure's removal as fake news. The statement said what transpired in the court is as follows. Supreme Court strikes out Nenadi Abure suits, says only political parties can determine who their leaders are. It also said that the courts shouldn't dabble into the affairs of the political parties, adding the Supreme Court struck out the suit at the trial court and also that of the Court of Appeal. Still on political matters being determined by the courts, the Federal High Court in Abuja, presided over by Justice Binta Nyako, has issued a restraining order preventing all parties, including involved in the legal challenge of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduaha's suspension, from making public statements or media appearances. The case, which was reassigned to Justice Nyako after Justice Egwatu's reclusal, had its first mention today. Lawyers representing both sides were present, and Justice Nyako ordered all filed applications to be reviewed before the next hearing. The court also directed that preliminary objection and the main suit be held together at the next session. The restriction extends to all parties, including legal representatives and media commentators. Now, the case will resume on May 12, 2025 for hearings, with a judgment date to follow. In other news, the sole administrator of Rivers State, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ita Ibas, says a new 2025 budget is in the final stages of preparation. He adds that areas of focus will include healthcare, education, agriculture, infrastructure, and job creation. Ibas disclosed this on Thursday while hosting a delegation of the Rivers State National Assembly caucus led by Senator Barry Nada Pigi at the Government House in Port Harcourt. We're now joined by Jaya Gaskia, public affairs analyst from Abuja, to give us more insight on this. Mr. Jaya Gaskia, many thanks for doing this with us. I mean, it appears every step taken by the sole administrator of Rivers State will inevitably throw up more questions than answers. And at this point, one has to ask this question: what do you first make of all that's happening with the news that he's working on a new budget?
First of all, thank you for having me today. But the very first implication of a state of emergency and then the appointment of a sole administrator and particularly the suspension of the governor and the parliament means that executive powers now resides with the sole administrator, and legislative power is now transferred to the National Assembly. That's the position of the Constitution. And then you take this against the background of the fact that the Supreme Court had also earlier ruled and declared the 2025 budget that the suspended governor was implementing as being null and void and unconstitutional, and that the making of that law violated both the intent and the letter of the Constitution. And so the implication of that is that right now Rivers State has no budget, no operational budget with which resources can be drawn from, allocated beyond resources from the 2024 budget if it has not lapsed. And so for the sole administrator, it is well within his right. That is, if we leave aside the legitimacy of his appointment, but it is well within his right now. If he's supposed to govern, because he cannot govern without funds, and he cannot spend funds without appropriation. And so the thing to do is to then start working on a budget. What we need to look out to see is what then this process entails, because the only legitimate authority can present this budget to is the National Assembly. Then second.
Right, and it begs to ask the question, the duration of this budget as well. How long will it be covering? Exactly. Would it be for a year or for the 6 months he's to be in office?
Absolutely. So that's the second point I was going to raise in terms of so the things that we should look out for. If his tenure is for 6 months in the instance, one would expect that this budget should be for a period of 6 months in the first instance, after which he can then approach the National Assembly. Again, that is if his own tenure is extended. Otherwise, that would then be left to the situation after his tenure has lapsed, whether it's the restoration of the status quo ante, that is the governor and the state assembly.
And is it to be expected that the budget will be representative enough, since there are no constituent leaders to make input into it? How will representation look like?
Okay, so there are various ways in which this will be done, because I mean, for instance, he is not governing alone. I mean, the political appointees may have been sacked, but the bureaucracy of the state and the state machinery, the civil service remains in place. So, and each of these ministries would have permanent secretaries. And so the normal budget process is expected to be followed. And then also consultation with leaders of different sectors within the state. But as to constituency representation and the input of lawmakers, that would have to be directly the lawmakers, the federal lawmakers from a River State. In the first instance, they need to be part of that process. Probably that's why he had that audience with them to begin that process. And then, of course, eventually they would have to now present that budget before the wider National Assembly for its assent. But the National Assembly is most likely, under this kind of circumstances, going to refer that budget to the River State caucus of the National Assembly first before they then take other readings of the budget.
Right. And how do we even speak about accountability at this point and transparency, which are pretty much the hallmarks of a good budget process? Are you worried that, all the caucus has been dissolved and the appointees, political appointees, have also been dismantled as well? Should we be worried?
Okay, so yeah, we should be really worried. We should be bothered. Because by the very definition of his title and what the Constitution says about a sole administrator, even much more than an executive governor or a president, it really concentrates quite a lot of power in that sole, because now this person governs solely. The second challenge here is also the fact that in reconstituting a state executive council, it still would need the approval of the National Assembly, because you cannot constitute a state executive council without legislative input. And right now, the legislative authority of River State status of assembly is vested in the National Assembly pending the duration of this. So these are the steps that we must be worried about, and we must ensure that these steps are actually followed and taken. The other thing is that for the media, the civil society, and particularly also workers in the civil service to be very vigilant and to actually call for an open budget process in the sense that there should be consultations or open consultations with stakeholders while the budget is being prepared and before the budget is sent to the National Assembly. Because mind you, it's going to be more difficult and more expensive to have.
Well, I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us, Mr. Jaye Gaskia.
Because it's going to be done.
All right. Well, we're pretty much out of time, but thank you so much for joining us and just giving us a bit of insight on what's really going on following the announcement of a budget preparation, which will come out soon by the sole administrator of River State. Once again, thank you. Let's go on our very first short break, shall we? When we return, Kano Hunters Association demands justice for colleagues slain in Uromi. We have the details just after the break. Join us again. Hey, welcome back. It's time for us to head to Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, live, where the new board of the NNPCL is being constituted. Now, remember that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu recently approved a reconstitution, of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPCL, that's NNPC Limited Board, removing the chairman, Chief Pius Akinye Luri, and the group chief executive officer, which is Malam Mele Kolokiyari. Now, the new 11-man board, as Engineer Bashir Bayo Ojulari as the group CEO and Amadou Musa Kida as non-executive chairman. Now, News Central's correspondent Aisha Saliu is on ground to give us an update. Hi, Aisha. How are you doing?
Judith, good evening. I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing what's the latest? A new board. What's to come?
Okay, just before I bring you up to speed on what is expected for the new board, I'd like for you to also know that many Nigerians are retiring back home. I mean, the people who are here at the moment at the NNPC towers, they are going home. Perhaps they're not even aware of what is happening in the premises of the NNPCL today. What happened today? It would interest you to know that today an 11-member board was inaugurated, just according to the statement released by the spokesman of the president. Regarding your question about what is expected, the administration expects more. There is a huge expectation from this particular board that has been constituted and that was inaugurated today. Part of the expectations would be that it has set ambitious targets for the new leadership, including raising oil production to 2 million barrels per day by 2027 and 3 million barrels per day by 2030. And also, gas production is expected to hit 8 billion cubic feet daily by 2027 and 10 billion cubic feet by 2030. And that is not just all that is expected from the new board that has been constituted today. Also, in the refining sector, the government expects the NNPC to increase its share of crude oil refining output to 200,000 barrels daily by 2027 and 500,000 barrels daily by 2030. And now the Tinubu administration has asked the board to conduct a strategic portfolio review of the NNPC's operated and joint venture assets to ensure value maximization. This just goes to show that there is a huge responsibility on the new board that has been constituted today. I mean, they're expected to build more, they're expected to do more than the previous board that was constituted by, that just handed over today.
I have to ask at this point about, one of the core issues for Nigerians. I mean, it's good to reel out all of what's expected of them of the board, right? But most importantly, what Nigerians expect as well, and that is transparency and accountability. We know that they have put out their books consequently, especially from last year, but there's a lot of questions and a bit of gaps when it comes to the year enders in their books and their finances of each year. Was that also part of a conversation in terms of better transparency and accountability for the sake of the people of Nigeria?
As I stated earlier, the onus of responsibility is on the new leadership now. It is expected that there should be a whole revamping of, the sector, and there should be more positive outcome and more positive result, because that is why this new board members has been constituted. I mean, the responsibility is huge on their shoulders, and Nigerians expect to see something new from the old board.
Well, only time will tell. I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us and just giving us a bit of insight there. And looking good as always. Thank you for coming on.
So much, Judith. All
right. Away from the capital, now back to Jos, where the leadership of the Professional Hunters Association of Nigeria in Rano, Bukaru, Kabiya, and Garko local government areas of Kano State have called on the Edo State government to ensure justice for their members killed in Urumi. They spoke to New Central Television in Rano, Kano State, and warned that there will be consequences, if justice was swept under the carpet. Take a look.
Showcasing their identity cards to project authenticity, these men claim to be the leaders of the Professional Hunters Association of Nigeria in Kano. They expressed worry over a failure to pursue justice for their members by the state government, saying citizens from other regions are usually given more attention.
Amma abin takeici shine sai a kafa kwamitoci a ta surutu a gidan rediyo, amma duk ina aka samu sati ɗaya biyu shikenan bayan kwamiti ya tattara rahotonsa ya bada sai a sa kafa a taki.
They also cited examples of northern leaders who have helped southerners pursue justice while they enjoyed their stay in the north.
Lokacin mulkin Umar Abdullahi Ganduje, tsohon gwamnan jihar Kano, an zargi wata mata a kofar Wambai ta yi tole faifa da alkurani mai tsarki. Wannan ya fusata al'ummarmu suka mai da martani har a taka ga tarasa ranta. Kudancin ƙasar nan suka yi ta akan an zalunce su, ba su lura da girman alkur'ani mai tsarki da ta wulakanta ba, an zalunce su saboda haka dole sai an biya su diyar su. Shugabanninmu ba su lura da ba su la'akari da haƙoƙinmu ba, suka ce mu ne muka aikata laifi, suka kama mutanen mu suka kulle. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje sai da ya tashi ya je kudancin ƙasar nan ya ba su baki, ya biya diyar wannan baiwar Allah da farashi mafi tsada.
They say their contributions to peace in the country have been taken for granted, while vowing to ensure those killed in Urumi obtain justice.
Wallahi tallahi ba mu da niyyar yafiya akan wannan abu da aka yi mana, wallahi tallahi ko du za a kare mu, wallahi sai mun dau hukunci akan wannan na yadda in kuma gwamnati ta yi mana adalci duniya shugaban ƙasa gwamnoni na jihar Kano na Najeriya gaba ɗaya su ba mu gudunmawa akan wannan hakin jalinci da aka yi mana.
Mu a jihar Kano kowa ya sani jihar Kano tana da kana ɗaya a Najeriya. Abin doka muna bin dokokin shugabanninmu shi ne ake samun akasin irin wannan abubuwan ake wulakanta mana sana'a da muka gada gun iyayenmu.
As reactions and counter-reactions continue to trail the unfortunate Uromi incident, the hunters are hoping that justice will bring closure to the entire episode. In Reno, Kano, for News Central, Emmanuel Bagudu.
Still on the Urumi killings, the Police Service Commission has removed Mrs. Betty Enekbe Isokba Otimi as the Commissioner of Police in charge of Edo State Command. She was removed as Commissioner of Police in the state due to the killing of 16 travelers in Urumi Ishan Northeast local government area of Edo State on March 27, 2025. The PSC appointed Monday Agbonika as her replacement. She was appointed as the 49th CP of the state on January 16, 2025. She took over from CP Peter Umoru Ozigi at his retirement on January 25, 2025. A statement by the Commission's head of press and public relations, Ikechukwu Ani, said the new Commissioner of Police, Monday Agbonika, was until his deployment to Edo State, the Commissioner of Police, Mounted Troop, Force Equitation Officer, Force Headquarters, Abuja. The new CP was also advised to look into the issues surrounding the recent killings in the state. And now to updates from Plateau Jos. A security report says calm has been restored in 5 communities of Mongo, Manguna, Dafo, Horti, and Taidai that came under violent attacks in Boko's local government area of Plateau State following an invasion by unknown gunmen. News Center Chizoba Nyowe reports that efforts made to visit Bokos was unsuccessful, as security experts say it is still unsafe for non-security personnel. However, confirming the recent incident was the commander of Operation Rainbow, Brigadier General Gakiji Shipi, retired, during an interview session with journalists in Jos, the state capital. Now, for him, the attack was based on sheer criminality and nothing about ethno-religious factors, as being purported by many in some quarters. Gakiji Shipi says that unconfirmed number of arrests have been made, regretting that the casualty figures are yet to be ascertained.
Unfortunately, without any provocation, without any incidents happening, we witnessed another wave of terror attacks, especially within Boko's local government. So for the past 2 days, we've had those attacks within the general area of Josho, Daho, and Manguna. And in the process, a lot of communities have been razed and some casualties have been recorded. The exact figures are not yet concluded because up till now we are still undertaking operations to determine the total extent of casualties. But we have definitely recorded some, and in a very gruesome manner for that matter. We've been unable to put our finger as to what gave rise to what has happened, but gladly the security agencies have made some very important arrests that are helping us to unveil what has gone wrong, and at the appropriate time when the investigation.
As part of activities to mark the 2025 National Police Day, the Lagos Police Command organized a town hall meeting aimed at strengthening the bond between law enforcement and the community. News Center's Igbalani Omoniyi was there and filed this report. Take a look.
Held at the police mess in Ikeja GRA brought together residents, community leaders, religious figures, and police officials to engage in open discussions and address pressing concerns within the community. The meeting commenced with a welcome address by the Deputy Commissioner of Police Operations, Fatai Tijani, Representing the Commissioner of Police Lagos State Command, he encouraged attendees to share their thoughts and suggestions on how to enhance policing efforts in the state.
Without the community or members of the community synergizing with us, or we synergizing with the members of the public, we cannot achieve anything. That is one reason why we need a very robust relationship, collaboration with members of the public.
Key discussion points revolved around community policing, crime prevention, youth engagement, and restiveness as stakeholders took turns to recommend solutions and raise concerns regarding policing in the state.
Officers on the road are not machines, they are not robots. We pray that the hours of their routine shift should be reduced.
Please get the police vehicle. Because sometimes we call them in the midnight. My people use a personal car.
For over 50-something years, we are renting an apartment and they have given us quick notice. After that, we don't have a police station.
And I also advise that all the ballets should be given reports, security report of their areas.
The Deputy Commissioner responded to most of the questions and recommendations, reiterating the force's commitment to building trust and fostering a safer community.
Khartoum police station was equally a rented apartment as at that time. Today, they are having a permanent site within that axis as well. Somebody donated it, somebody built it. So we can still have spirited individuals or members of the public that can assist the police. Our local government chairman, they are our representative. We can meet them, talk to them, tell them what we are lacking security-wise, and ginger them to work in that direction. The manpower problem is everywhere, not peculiar to one particular division or state. It's all over. And that is why the federal government has approved recruitment of police.
As the Nigeria Police Force celebrates its National Police Day, stakeholders laud the Lagos Command's town hall meeting as a shining example of community-oriented policing. By working together, law enforcement and the public can create a more secure and harmonious society. In Lagos 4 News Central, Igbalani Omani.
And off to Abia State, where the State Police Commissioner, Danladi Issa, says despite shortages of manpower in the command, the police have been able to tackle insecurity and maintain peace in the state. Rising from a police conference at the Police Officers' Mess in Umuahia, the state capital, southeast Nigeria, CP Issa, in an exclusive interview with News Central's Chinwe Ugeli, says the force is committed to serving the residents and indigents of the state. The report.
Present citizen to police ratio is put at 1 police officer to 650 citizens against the United Nations recommended 1 police to 460 citizens for any country. At the end of a conference organized for officers in Abia State as part of events to mark the 2025 National Police Day, the Commissioner of Police, Danladi Issa, admits that the shortfall is a huge challenge.
We are also expecting more personnel based on the fact that the recruitment is ongoing. So we hope to have some improvement, but we'll try to make do with what we have.
The police boss in Abia, who highlights the challenges the police continue to encounter in the line of duty, however, says the burden is made lighter by the state government's commitment to the welfare of the command.
The governor of Abia State is doing everything humanly possible to provide the police with the necessary logistics in the area of vehicles, in the area of other equipment. And in addition to that, allowances of officers on special duty are paid when due.
Some police officers also corroborate the commissioner's welfare claim.
Health-wise, we're being taken care of. Our medical teams are always available to take care of whatever things are.
The CP discloses that he wants to sanitize the command to discourage bad conduct from the officers.
We're doing everything humanly possible to make sure that we rid the police of bad index. Some of them have been dismissed, some have been reduced in rank, and it's an ongoing process.
Some police officers who say a functional police force favors all, however, say withholding information remains the bane of successful crime fighting.
Sometimes most of those evidence needed to constitute a crime has already been destroyed by the villagers. There are sometimes mob actions. When an incident occurs, it's the duty of the community to report promptly to the police for us to perform our work effectively.
Some citizens accept that the police have a task of protection of lives and property of the people, their shortfalls notwithstanding.
I want them to improve because you know there are so many informations, contrary information about the police that they are not doing, that they are taking. But I know the police, they are even in the midst of that. There are upright people that present in the police that they are called policemen, that they've come to do their work with pure dedication.
Police is a friend of all because without them we cannot be free in going free and fair on the road.
The essence of the National Police Day is for the police to appraise themselves, take new lessons, and probably re-strategize for effective policing in the society. In Omahe for News Central, Chinwe Ugele.
Tension erupted at the Eze Bakagba market in Port Harcourt on Friday when a female food vendor narrowly escaped being lynched by an angry mob over allegation of blasphemy. The incident began after a disagreement between the vendor and a male trader, which escalated into a confrontation involving religious sentiments. Members of the Muslim community accused a woman of blasphemy, leading to the destruction of her food items and other belongings. The situation grew tense and the woman fled for her safety, with some individuals pursuing her. Police intervention prevented further violence, dispersing the crowd with tear gas. Now, traders at the market have called for increased security and suggested the vendor be placed under protective custody to avoid future incidents. Fine-Face Donamos Fine-Face, the executive director of YAC Nigeria, condemned the rising religious intolerance and urged respect for others' beliefs. And now to health matters. The wife of Nigeria's President, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has inaugurated multiple projects initiated by the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, in Bayelsa State as part of the NDDC's efforts to drive development in the region. The president's wife also flagged off free medical outreaches to provide essential healthcare services to underserved communities in the region and donated 11 ambulances to hospitals in the 9 states of the region to provide affordable health care delivery to the people in each state. News Central's correspondent Osuna Zu, who covered the event, now reports.
As part of the programs enlisted to mark the Niger Delta Development Commission's 25th anniversary, stakeholders in the region converged on Otosega Ogbeya local government area of Bayelsa State to witness the multiple inauguration of projects inaugurated and completed by the NDDC to drive meaningful development in the region. First, the NDDC Director of Education, Health and Social Services begins the event with a welcome address, followed by an address by the MD, CEO, NDDC, where rolls out the achievements of the current NDDC board and its future plans.
You know, the essence of this partnership is to enable the NDDC work harder to deliver the dividends of development in the areas of health, education, and other social services that affect women and children and youths in the Niger Delta.
In their goodwill messages, the Minister of Regional Development, Abubakar Momo, and the Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Dure Diri, stood for collaboration for the development of the Niger Delta states, while the Senate Committee Chairman on NDDC pledged to continue approving funds to guarantee meaningful developments in the region.
And for us as a state government, all we need is partnership. We have never seen the NDDC as a competitor. And my advice, privately and publicly, is that we need to collaborate and partner. It is out of that today that we have state government-owned institutions that have been uplifted by the NDDC, and we are coming to commission them.
Yes, before now, NDDC has always been associated with stories of failure, stories of non-performing, stories of corruption. But I want to assure you that with the current board in place, things have changed tremendously.
We will continue to appropriate resources effectively and efficiently for the Niger Delta and ensure that these resources are meticulously used for the benefit of the people of the region. Development must be transparent and sustainable, and the committee will work closely with the NDDC to guarantee this.
Launching the 2025 series of the NDDC and Renew Hope Initiative's free medical outreach, Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oloremi Tinubu, said the launch will provide access to health insurance services for the poor and vulnerable people in the region, while other projects will also accelerate a lasting solution to the socio-economic difficulties confronting the region.
This contribution significantly aid in saving lives and ensure that the various communities receive prompt medical attention when needed. Also, the introduction of health insurance scheme that is specifically designed to cover rural communities in the NDDC states will provide thousands of families with access to affordable and reliable medical care.
High points of the event include the unveiling of the prototype of the Mother and Child Amenity Ward, the commissioning of the NDDC Renew Hope Initiative's renovated Otosega Cottage Hospital, and the donation of ambulances and medical equipment to the 9 states of the Niger Delta region. In Bayelsa for News Central, Austin.
Watching news now on News Central Television. Coming up, it's all for Twetre as South Africans hold a candlelit vigil for victims of gender-based violence. We'll tell you all about it just after the break. Join us again. And you're welcome back. A Sudanese emergency response group is reporting a wave of arrest and the alleged execution of a civilian earlier this week by forces allied with the army in the Mayo area south of Khartoum. The Southern Belt Emergencies Room's report followed accounts in local media of alleged summary killings by army personnel of citizens accused of collaborating with the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF. Separately, on Thursday, UN Human Rights Chief Volker Türk called on Sudan's army leaders to halt civilian killings in the capital and ensure accountability. A spokesperson for the Southern Belt Emergency Room also said the Sudanese army arrested more than 700 young men in the Mayo, Mandela, Angola, and Dar Al-Naeem districts after deploying forces after deploying sources there on the second day of the recent Eid al-Fitr holiday. As concerns continue to be raised about the justice system for victims of gender-based violence in South Africa, last night a night vigil to demand justice for GBV, and that's gender-based violence victims, was held at the Union Buildings in Pretoria. The candlelit vigil gathering was to demand justice for Twetres, who was raped in October 2024 at the Birchview College School grounds. Despite reports that the mother reported the matter to the police, was largely ignored for 5 months.
I'm here because we want to raise awareness against violence that exists.
You're watching news now on News Central Television. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, we'll bring you business news. Stay here. A leading financial solutions provider, Monada, has officially signed a strategic partnership with MeCash to launch Musa, a digital financing platform tailored for SMEs operating in the natural resources value chain, including energy, agriculture, and minerals. The partnership signing event held in Lagos marked a significant milestone in expanding financial access for businesses that drive Africa's economic development. Musa aims to remove traditional financing barriers, offering SMEs fast, flexible credit without the burden of collateral or lengthy approval processes. Unlike traditional banks that rely on collateral-based lending, Musa uses technology-driven credit assessment models, leveraging real-time business activity, cash flow, and alternative data to evaluate SMEs' financial capacities.
Businesses here in Nigeria and across the continent who require a combination of credit and execution support, and this partnership reflects that transition. It means that we would create a product able to provide credit to borrowers without collateral. And I'm not talking about consumer loans to buy televisions and iPhones. I'm talking about credit to execute projects.
You grow an SME, you grow prosperity for everyone else. And like Ejike has said, it always starts with SMEs that can be funded or have access to funding. But then there needs to be efficiency in the way money is being moved around. And that's where payments comes in. And that's what Mikash is going to deliver in this partnership. We will be the engine behind making sure that money is going to the right place at the right time, low cost, fast settlements, and there's efficiency in the way Moneta's vision is and in the way they're looking to expand Pan-African.
The president of the Nigeria Cricket Federation, Uyi Akpata, has commissioned some commissions. The brand new turf wicket at Community Secondary Commercial School in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. The pitch, built in recognition of the growth of cricket in the region, which produced 7 national players, marked a major highlight of the ongoing Niger Delta Sports Festival. Top state dignitaries and Niger Delta sports stakeholders graced the grand opening of the Cricket Oval in Uyo. Among dignitaries present were the Commissioner for Sports, Elder Paul Bassi, Deputy Speaker Right Honorable Kufre Abasi Ididem, and who is the chairman of Itu Local Government Area, Honorable Ubong Kufre, who were entertained with cricket activities at the newly commissioned Oval. And that's all we can take at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. The Supreme Court has sacked Julius Abure as Labour Party National Chairman, nullifying earlier ruling by the Court of Appeal. The Supreme Court has sacked Julius Abure as Labour Party National Chairman and also has nullified the Appeal Court ruling. Nigeria's Works Minister David Umahi has overruled Lagos State government, reopened Independence Bridge on Victoria Island, and promised permanent fix soon. And we also told you that a local group has reported civilian killings and mass arrests by pro-army forces in south of Khartoum. Do remember they can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, on GoTV channel 23, on Star Times channel 274. Find us on Apple TV, or better yet, just stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Bye for now.